Welcome back to another video, guys. Today we will be answering the age-old question. Should you be buying older boxes even though they're more expensive, or should you be buying newer boxes and they're quite cheap? So this is a question that gets thrown around a lot. So that's what we're talking about in today's video. So I don't want to waste your time. We have a bunch of information to talk about. We're going to basically go through a bunch of booster boxes and their top cards and their set value. And we're going to be doing a rough evaluation to come to the conclusion. So I don't want to waste your time. We have a lot of stuff to talk about in today's video. So enough yapping, let's begin. All right, so before we come to the conclusion, which we will do at the end of the video, we have to go through a couple booster boxes and go through their values. So Blue Bottom is $5,000, even though the top chase is $3,700. So whenever you look at sets to buy, you generally look at the top chase, the set value as a whole, and you do a rough evaluation. Now, the thing is, Blue Bottom is a little bit special. It's a collector's item. It's a grail. It's a sealed grail. So this does not apply so much. So what I'm actually going to do is we're not actually going to talk about Blue Bottom in this video. You can buy Blue Bottom if you believe in the longevity of the trading card game. And when I say longevity, I don't mean 2 years. I don't mean 3 years. I don't mean 4 years. I mean 10 years. And the reason why is this box is $5,000. It does not really fit the equation that we're talking about in today's video because we're going to be comparing like older sets that are arguably better or newer sets that are arguably worse. So this doesn't really fit the equation. It's a collector's item. It's a sealed item. It's not really the same. So we're not going to talk about this in this video. Buy Blue Bottom if you really believe in the trading card game for 10 to 15 years. But then when you get something like White Bottom, you'll notice that it's only $12.50. So the top chase is more than justified. Now this is with every single set. The booster box is always going to be cheaper than the top manga as a PSA 10. Let's just quickly look at a couple of things. We need plenty of examples, right? So 05, you'll notice that it is $400 and the top chase is $7,500. Then you go PRB01, it's $650, and the top chase is $5,600. Now, PRB01 is about a year younger than OP05. How does this make sense? Well, this is where we get into our first variable, if you will, with this argument and with this question. How is a booster box that is 1 year old, PRB01, $650, when another box that is a year older than it is $400, when the top chase from the older set is $2,000 more? This is where it gets complicated. And this is where we have to look at the top 10/top 5 chases. And this is where it really gets crazy. This is where it no longer becomes like one expensive chase, the box is going to go up. You have to look at the greater picture. All right, so let's keep going. Let's continue. So I've just put that in the corner. Let's just quickly keep going and then we'll you pay attention to those later in the video. So 09 is $240 a box. This is a bit more of a recent box, but the top chase is about $12,000 as a PSA 10. It's a pretty big deal. So a very, very expensive top chase for a very cheap box. So this is all of the older sets, right? The singles have gotten time to age. They've gotten time to go up. I mean, really emphasis on this Shanks. I mean, I want to say this card wasn't even like $900 3 years ago as a PSA 10. Probably even less, man. Like, my memory is a bit foggy, but when I got into the trading card game, I remember, because I got in when there was 04 came out, this Shanks was like $500 raw, $400. It wasn't much. It was like $500, $600. I don't exactly remember how much, but it wasn't that much. As a PSA 10, it was probably only like $1,000. So this card has really aged amazing. This card has really gone up. So you can see that the older the set becomes, the usually more expensive the chases get. But here's the thing. You look at a set like OP11 and the top chase, it being a $160 box, and the top chase is $6,500. So it really does make you second guess buying these older boxes because there are so many new sets that really make it complicated, right? You really have to think. Like, is buying a newer box with a $6,500 top chase as a PSA 10, it is buying a $160 box worth over buying like a $650 box like PRB01. You really have to think about it. And you really have to think like, okay, you know, one big expensive chase, is that better than PRB01? We've got like 10 chases, right? Like, that is the equation in mind. Because if you were to ask me, is it PRB01 or OP11? Well, then I would say PRB01. But then you go, hang on, PRB01 is a $650 box. This is a $160 box. You can get like, what, 4 OP11 boxes for every PRB? If we go in the future by 3 years, is PRB still going to be 4 times the price of OP11? Who knows? Now, this is where it gets just dead easy. And this is where you can just answer the question just like, nope, not even worth buying older boxes. We get into OP13. So the reason why I brought up OP11 was to really show you the difficulty of answering the question. Everybody's going to have their own conclusions like OP11, it's a decent set, it has pretty good top chases and has multiple manga Luffy's, happy days, right? Like it has that. But then other people would argue like older sets are, they have more expensive top chases, like maybe OP5, even though it's more expensive the box, it may pay out in the long run, right? Then you get to OP13, and it just blows everything out of the water. So this card hasn't even sold as a PSA 10. As a raw card, this card goes for $8,000. That's what it sells for, raw. In fact, there was actually a sale on eBay for $9,000. But then as a PSA 10, it blows everything out the water. So this card, as a PSA 10, currently, right now, is on auction for $14,000. And there's 3 days left. If this card ends up going for $20,000, which it probably will, it might even go for more, then you've got to think to yourself, hold up, this card is 2 times as more expensive as like any card that you can pull, right? So it's like, this set is really, really good. So then if I were to tell you, this booster box is $180, you would say to me, you'd say, mate, let's stop having this conversation, let's buy it right now. This instant, let's buy it. And then that's where the convincing comes, where it's like, it's not even worth grabbing other boxes, right? Like I have 26 boxes of OP13. Now, I go in the trading card game 04, 03, around that range. I had blue bottoms and I had a bunch of other boxes. I took a break at like OP7, OP8, around that range, and I got in pretty recently. A friend of mine said to me, he's like, mate, this set OP13 is the best thing ever. You should really get into the hobby. And I was like, okay, yeah, fair enough. And that was about 3 weeks ago. About that range. So the thing is, this set is so good that a lot of people have gotten back into the hobby. When I got back into the hobby, I was thinking, should I buy a blue bottom for like $5,000 now? Even though I bought multiple for $600 back in the day, should I buy 1 or 2? And then I thought to myself, I was like, yeah, but why? Like, what's the point? This set is the best set that we have. It's $180. It has a phenomenal top chase. And then you think to yourself, you're like, okay, well, I might not bother with all the sets. Now, I would understand why you want to. Absolutely. All these sets are most likely going to do absolutely phenomenal. Rambling about who's going to outperform which is just chasing a dog's tail. So yeah, it's not like the best thing to do. But here's the thing. This is where it gets really interesting. This has the most set value by the longest shot. This set value, I think it's like $25,000. It's about that range. It has pre-errata cards. It has the gold and silver shanks. It has god packs. It has normal mangas, red mangas. It has wanted posters. It's insane. This is where it really gets difficult just to justify older sets, right? Like OP05, it has a bit of a soft spot on me. OP05 was a phenomenal set. There was so much hype when this came out. The culture around it, there was a lot of hype and it was very cool, right? Then you get sets like PRB01 and it's a really nice special set, right? And then you get to sets like Carrying on His Will and it just blows all these sets out of the water. So the question of, should you be buying booster boxes that are like $650 but older or like $180 but newer? OP13, if OP13 wasn't the equation, this would actually be a good question. Like this would be a question where it's like valid. It's like, oh yeah, actually, hang on. You actually make me think like, you actually make a good point. Like which one is better? So it really makes you think, right? It makes you think like which one, like it would be valid. Like I would think, you know what, that's valid. Whatever you believe, that's actually valid. Like maybe I have my own views, but if you're on the other side, I'd say to you, yeah, that's valid. Like you have a right to think that. But then you get to OP13 and it's so good that let me ask you this. If OP13 was a $650 booster box and then OP11, which is another good set that's recent, was a $180 booster box, which one would you buy? And then you'd say to me, you'd say, well, I'd buy OP13. It's a really good set, has a really expensive chase. Top chase is $20,000 as a PSA 10. The top chase is super desired. I'm going to buy OP13. It has god packs. It has, the silver shanks, gold shanks. It has more mangas, more red mangas. It has all these different things, pre-errata cards, has all these juicy cards, right? So then you'd say to me, Sam, I know $650 is a lot of money, but I'm going to go for it. It's going to hurt the bank a bit, but I'm going to go for it. Okay, valid. But then on the other side, if you said, well, I'm going to buy OP11, you know, it may not be as good as OP13, but it's a lot cheaper. So I can still justify it, you know, in a couple of years' time, will OP13 boxes remain being 3 times the price of OP11 boxes, right? You got to remember, in this scenario, right now, OP13 boxes are $650 and then OP11 boxes are $180 in this analogy, right? So then you'd say to me, well, you know, I believe in the future OP11, instead of being 1/4 of the value of OP13, it could be like 1/3 or half the value. So my 4 boxes will be worth more than your 1 OP13 box. And I'd say, okay, yeah, valid, I hear you. Okay, so what happens when you get the best of both worlds? You get a dirt cheap booster box and you get the best set of all of One Piece. See, PRBO1 is such a good set to open. It's a nice set to display. It's just a great set overall. So PRBO1 jumped up really quickly. It's $650 a booster box. That is, according to my calculations, I believe the second most valuable booster box, right behind OP01. Of course, you got blue bottom and white bottom, but let's just say the set as a whole, PRBO1 is the most expensive booster box other than the OP01 booster boxes. So it's super new, it's only a year old, and it's that expensive. So you've got to think to yourself, if that is $650 within a year, well, what is going to be OP13? And that's where you really think, like, you know what? Maybe buying older stuff isn't worth it. Now, I would say it's valid if you want to buy older stuff. If you hold OP09, if you hold OP05, that's valid. There's nothing wrong with that. Me personally, I've got 26 boxes of OP13. There's 2 sealed cases and 2 loose boxes. I'll probably try and get a couple more. I'm probably not going to get any soon. Cases have gotten so expensive. Loose boxes are getting more pricey. Now, the thing is, I'm probably going to wait for like wave 2 or wave 3, and then I'll buy more. It gives me more time to accumulate more funds, and then it also gives me more time to just chill out for a second, gives it time for it to do a bit of a reset when there is a reprint. So I will probably wait, but if I can end my position on like 40 or 50 boxes, there's no harm in holding just that. Like, if I hold any other OP boxes, it would be for a display, right? OP05 is a gorgeous display. OP09 is a gorgeous display. EBO1, that pink box is beautiful. Romance Dawn is a beautiful box. Like, there's a lot of really nice boxes, right? So, like, I would understand buying those to display. But for me, personally, I don't even know if I want any other boxes. Like, OP13 does the job. So, yeah, that's kind of where I sit with OP13. It is pretty incredible, the magnitude and power that OP13 does have. So I think this would be a really, really valid question like a month ago. It would be such a valid question. I'd say, you know what? Valid. That's a good question. Let's break it down. But now it's just OP13 is too good where it just goes ahead and it's such an obvious play in a sense. Now, I will say, once again, if you hold OP05, if you hold OP09, the thing is you will probably see returns sooner than me, right? So let's just quickly look at some stuff real quick. Okay, so OP01 blue bottom. Now, I just want to say it is selling for $5,000 on eBay. There are no sales on TCG Player. That doesn't really matter though. It's selling on eBay, so I'm just using this because it looks aesthetically better. The thing about OP01 is if you were holding blue bottom for 2 months, you would have bought it for $2,000, around that range, right? Now it's like $5,000. So to get those quick returns, you're not going to get those from OP13. It's the same thing of OP05, right? Like in like August was 230, 240. Now it's like 400. Then you get to something like PRBO1. PRBO1, if we go back, so just like say like August, it's like 340. Now it's like 650. But like even October, it was 450. Now it's 650. This is now 650. So within like a couple weeks, you've gone from like 450 to like 650. And then we get to OP09 and it's like, all right, well, we go from like what, in September, you go from 200 and now it's like what, 250? It probably is selling for about that range. Yeah, about 240-ish, that's what's selling for. So you're off for like 20% of your money. Then you get to something like Carrying on His Will. This box is going, it's not that it's going to be cheap for a while, right? Like, I think this box will go to 200. I think this box will go to 250. I could see that happening. I don't think it's crazy to say. But the thing is, there will be like a 6-month period or like a 12-month period where it just does nothing and it just stays still. It'll be the market deciding that's what it's going to be worth for a good while. It'll be reprints, market cooling off, whatever it may be, it's irrelevant. The point is that this box will find its place where it'll stay. Now, I don't think it's going to be $180. I think it'll be like $200, $220, $230, whatever it may be. But it probably will stay at that point for a good while. So if you want to make returns to the next like 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, I guess you can buy OP09. OP09 is probably your best bet because it's still really cheap for such a good set. I mean, once again, we moved back and we got like a $12,000 card as a PSA 10. Doesn't really need much of an introduction there. Has a bunch of other stuff inside as well. It is actually quite a packed set. So I would say if you can wait like a year with no returns, I would say go ahead with OP13. And when I say no returns, I mean very little returns. If you want to maximize your returns, I reckon OP09 is your best bet. OP05 is a gorgeous set. I love this set. I glaze this set. I mean, it's a beautiful box. Signature Luffy, plenty of mangas. It's got some Gear 5 Luffy cards. It's just such a good set. However, it is $400. That is the elephant in the room. This is $240. So I believe that this set could go up a significant amount in the next couple months, like 6 months to a year. It'll probably do really well. But then when we get to a set like Carrying on His Will, just needs about a year of it doing absolutely nothing. And then it can presume what OP09 is doing. So OP09, it didn't really move for a good while. It just went through that period where it was kind of just aging like fine wine. It was just doing its thing. OP13 is going to be in a pretty similar situation, in my opinion. Once again, I feel like it'll find its ground point and then it will stay there for a good while. So is that now? Is it $200? Is it $250? Who knows? But the point is that if you're willing to wait it out, I would say this is going to be incredibly rewarding to hold. I think this stays a little bit too good where it borderline shuts down this question in a sense, right? So TLDR, if you want to maximize your returns in the next 12 months, OP09. If you're happy to wait out those 12 months and you just want to secure your position now, OP13. Also, first aid cases will be worth some. If you can prove that it's a first aid case, it will have a premium on it. We've seen pre-errata cards be worth huge bucks. I mean, the Nami, for example, it's in the thousands if it's an alpha pre-errata, then it's in the hundreds, like the high hundreds if it's beta, but then if it's just the normal, it's like a couple $100. So there is definitely a premium on this pre-erratas. There's definitely a premium if you can prove it. So I don't know how much this case sold for, but you'll see how this says alpha. Well, they can prove that it was alpha because of the date here. You can see that it's 24th of the 11th. So you can prove, hey, this is an alpha. Otherwise, there is no difference other than that. There is no way to determine, is this a blue bottom alpha or is this beta? So I will just say, if you do have the sealed cases of the first wave of OP13, if it has a shipping label that has the date, you're golden. Like, that'll be worth a lot of money in the future. I could honestly see people paying anywhere upwards of 10 to 15% more. So that means in the future, if sealed cases go for like 5K, who knows? Your first wave could be 6K or 7K. We realistically don't know, but if you're able to prove it, you're golden. If you have loose boxes, your best bet is to keep a receipt with you. It definitely does help. Maybe it might not add value to the actual box, but it will definitely make it easier to sell. It will add value if you're lucky, but who realistically knows? But yeah, that is going to do it for today's video. I hope this video helped answer it a little bit more, whether it's worth grabbing older boxes that are more expensive or newer boxes that are cheaper. So yeah, that is going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching.